my first encounter with the music of Gustav Mahler was, of course, the vocal music. And it was the Rückertlieder. And, of course, Ich bin der Welt abhanden gekommen made a huge impact. But, you know, strangely enough, the song that stays with me is Liebst du Schönheit. And I know this originally was not part of the group, it's so specifically Mahlerian in a certain way. Mahler's identity is absolutely identifiable in 3 notes. And this is what made a huge impression. It couldn't be anybody else. And it's very popular to say that Mahler is influenced by that one and influenced by this one. And, you know, he was a conductor, the greatest conductor of his generation, and certainly of opera. And, you know, he had everything in his head. And, of course, his music can be a mishmash of all different things. But, you know, what you do with this mishmash and what you do with your influences and how you make them into something that is your own, this he did like nobody else. I mean, it's an amazing compendium of feeling, all together, coming together with the psychological research, Freud, and you know, that romantic music is not only about a romantic idea or you know, a love triangle or a dramatic scene. It's about how it makes you feel. It's about identifying these feelings. And Mahler was particularly good at being very precise about a feeling. This is very interesting, I find. And the idea of conducting Mahler was foreign to me. When I was younger, I was much more enamored with the music of Bruckner and these vast cathedrals somehow made a bigger impression on me, and Mahler's music made me a little bit nervous and all these fanfare made me a little bit nervous. But I understand today, I think better what he was trying to say, and you know, when something is almost too honest, too truthful, you know, sometimes it hurts, you know, stay away, you know. It's I think people identify with Mahler's music because it's very, very human, and so it took me a while. My first experience conducting Mahler was Das Lied von der Erde, 1994. I had just conducted my first Tristan, and I conducted Das Lied von der Erde right afterwards, or during. And my goodness, this first song made me crazy. Also, a composer who dares to write hardly, especially in the first 5 songs, to write hardly any bass. Das Lied von der Erde is based on maybe to come near to this Chinese influence of this poetry, which is extremely delicate often, or extremely biting, but it has grimace almost it grimaces in the first song, and you know, the tenor songs especially. But there's very little bass, and so this composition is all high in a way until we get the Abschied, and you finally hear the tam-tam and the contraffagotte. This made a big impression on me, I remember. When I started conducting Mahler, it's not that I heard many concerts of Mahler. I remember hearing Sinopoli, second Mahler. I remember hearing recordings of Barbarelli, the 9th, the 6th, and of course Lenny, you know. But isn't it unusual and Kubelik and Gielan, and every one of those has a different approach to Mahler. not one of the people I mentioned is like the other one at all. That says, I think, a lot for the music, and I think all of them will say they are faithful to the score. But their sound worlds and their approach, some bring it back, of course, to the full romantic, and others approach it as the predecessor of the Second Viennese School, and create a skeleton almost of the music. And I think it's very interesting. I don't think it's the whole story, and I think that these tumultuous feelings of explosions in the brass always need a string sound that has the weight to support the rest of the orchestra. But I think all approaches are useful for different moments, you see. I think one has to have tremendous flexibility for his music, because I don't think the whole story is in one approach. All his symphonies are somehow about struggle, but so is the sonata form about struggle. But I think Mahler made it more personal. And the struggle and the resolution of the struggle and how it ends, this is what makes a symphonic argument. I don't think that's any different from Mozart or Haydn or Beethoven. Just he found a more modern way of showing this struggle, much more extreme, much more daring to show really what's underneath the skin. There are catastrophes in all his pieces. There are catastrophes, but like I said before, he suffered so many personal catastrophes that was such a part of his life that it's as if he was destined to live through catastrophes. And one of the great things about Mahler 6, for instance, is that the last movement, it's as if the hero is struggling against what is going to be death. Let's call it that, to be simple. And how many times he does not give up, even when he's hit, first, second. But it's not only that, it's a constant rebirth after being slammed down, after catastrophe after catastrophe. And what catastrophe brings out of the man, that's what's interesting. Not that there's a catastrophe, and not that there's a symphony about the catastrophe, but what the issue is. The issue is trying to get over it and conquer and come out the other side. And sometimes you lose. Well, Mahler in his scores is very, very precise so every conductor says, well, you just do what's in the score and it's all there. I think, in a way, the idea that a conductor tries to show to the public this struggle and is honest about the struggle, and that then the arrival, the resurrection if it need be, or the death if need be, or the heroic victory at the end of Act 1 of Mahler 1. I think that you've shown all the different sides of what it is to be human, that you come out with a precise result at the end. I think that's what Mahler was looking for, in a sense. Is the idea of the human struggle and hopefully victory at the end of it, or if not, die trying. And I think that's a very, very important thing to always keep in mind. Oh, I think so, very much. All this death talk, he didn't want to die. The guy wanted to live. That's the whole point. That's the point of his symphonies. It's the love for life, not love for death. It's why is death a part of our lives? Yes, these are big questions. But it's life as something wonderful. My goodness, that's it. That's all there.